Oh, hello. It's a knitting needle. I don't smoke. Hi, I'm Devin, and welcome to the Knitty McPurly podcast, episode 31. I'm very excited to be doing a video podcast. Here is my face. I've been doing an audio podcast for about the past 2 years, which is why this is not episode 1, it's episode 31. So I'm very, very happy to be video podcasting. And another thing that's making me ridiculously happy is that it is finally sweater weather here in Virginia. I've been watching all of my Canadian friends on Instagram and on podcasts talking about their snow. And I'm like, please, it's been like 80 degrees and 95% humidity for weeks. Like it's just been so hot and wet. Like even cold and wet would be better than hot and wet. So I'm so happy today. It's been about 60 and there's a big orange ball in the sky that I haven't seen in a long time. So I'm very, very happy. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Virginia and it is sweater weather. So excited. I am wearing my James sweater, James cardigan, not cardigan, sweater, pullover, James pullover. And this is a design that is coming out very, very soon. So hopefully I can figure out this whole making the video, editing the video thing, and I can put this up before it comes out. It comes out on Monday, October 1st. Today is Friday, September, blah, 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 I don't know, whatever. So at the end of this weekend, this pattern will be out. And I just want to talk to you about this pattern quickly before I get to what's on my needles. If you follow my audio podcast, then I have a kind of a usual cadence that my topics go in. So, but I'll start with this since I'm wearing it and you can see it. So excited about showing stuff because while I love podcasting, I love it. Normally I have the baby monitor here and you can hear mama in the background. Not because she needs anything. My daughter is 3. She needs nothing. She just wants to talk. Mama. So anyway, I have my husband monitoring the monitor and I can actually show you things, which is just so, so great. So this is my James sweater. Two things that kind of motivated me to design this pattern. The first one was I wanted to do a colorwork sweater that was kind of not a colorwork sweater. Like I don't love doing stranded colorwork and when I say that, I mean when you're holding 2 different colors of yarn at the same time and you're alternating in the same row. You'll notice that this doesn't do that. Each row is its own color. So you've got some stripes up here. This whole lace section is in a contrasting color and then some more stripes. And the only more color is at the very bottom here. I could have done it on the sleeves, but I chose not to for whatever reason. I don't remember why. I think I just forgot to do it. You can if you want. And that was the first thing. The second thing is I wanted to have a sweater with options. And this sweater actually has lots of options. And I have 2 samples knit up that are in the pattern and that I'll show you here and on Instagram so that you can see the different options that there are. This one I think of as dressier. It does not have a very deep yoke. It's a little bit, I mean, I don't know. To me, this fits amazing. This white one, I love the fit. And my test knitters have agreed, and I have test knitters in a whole range of sizes, and all of them have said they love the fit. So, and I've had them do all the options. I think they've covered all the options, and I too have knit all the options. So this one has a shorter yoke. It has full length sleeves. And it does not have a split hem. The hem is the same all the way around. And it's not short. It's not like a crop sweater. My Molly sweater that just came out through Barrett Wool, which I'll talk about in a minute, has an option to be cropped. This one doesn't. You can crop it if you want to. That's easy. You just stop knitting sooner. This is the other version. Oops, that's the back. Okay, this is the other version. So this one is knit in 2 colors of Barrett wool, home fingering weight yarn. And this is Picket Fence is the white, and the gray is Ellie Gray, which is the world's greatest gray. I love it. I've used a bunch of Barrett Wool's grays, and they're all great, but this one is my favorite. I just love it, especially with the white. Another reason why this one is dressier is because it's white. So I think if you knit it in a darker color, or a more casual color, like a gray or something, it might look a little bit more casual. I think of this one as one that I would wear around the house more, and maybe because it's not white. It does have white in it though. This one is written for 4 colors. So the first color here is, this is all Barrett wool, home fingering weight yarn. This color is called James, which is my husband's name and the name of the pattern for this color, and my husband, because I like to name sweaters after people, even though this is not a man's sweater, I don't think, but So this yellow is called Humble Gold, and that is striped with Picket Fence, the same as this. And then the gray, this gray is called March Wind. And this is kind of the medium gray. She has one that's a little darker called Folkestone. And let me just see if I can show you. This has a deeper yoke here, where the yoke is just deeper. And like I said, this is my first time making a video, but I'm gonna try to put a picture in. People say that and then they do it. I don't know. I'll try. So you can, see it on a little bit better. But this has a deeper yoke. And I think the wording I used in the pattern is a more relaxed yoke. And to me, it's just a more relaxed fit. I wear this one around the house. And then I take it off because I'm too hot. But pretty soon, when it cools down, I'm going to wear this around the house a lot. And this one also has pockets. Now, you can see the placement of these pockets, all right? You see where those pockets are? They are in the midsection. So if you don't want any extra bulk in that area, just make it without pockets. There are directions in the pattern that tell you how to make it without pockets. All of these options are fully written out how to do them, so that you don't get there and go, well, how do I take the pocket out, or how do I not do that? It's all written in there. But when I'm walking around the house, I love to have a pocket to put my phone goes in this pocket and candy goes in this pocket, because that's what I carry. Or yarn. Like if I'm working on something that I have a ball of yarn small enough, it'll go in there. And I have striped the pocket. I've written directions for how to stripe it, but if you don't want the stripes, you could even just make it this color and it would stand out a little bit less. Although I think it's pretty, doesn't show too much in there. I also would like to, now that I have a camera, my husband just bought me this cool camera, I want to make an instructional video on how to attach the pocket backs, and I'll be doing that sometime soon, God willing, over the weekend. That would be amazing if I could do it over the weekend, because then as soon as you get the pattern, even though you wouldn't be to the pockets yet, you would know how to stitch those pocket backs in. This is super easy, by the way. Like if you've never done a pocket like this, you can tell that this pocket is knit as a part of the body of the sweater. Basically, all you do is you just leave a hole here, and then you go back and pick those stitches up and knit the back down. And then later you stitch the pocket back to the front of the sweater. And you can see it's not wholly invisible, but it's not too visible. All right. Finally, this one has a split hem, and I have used 2 colors on my bottom hem here. And the back has a curve, so you knit further on the back, and then there's short row shaping along the bottom to show the curve. It's not a tremendous curve. If you've knit the Gigi cardigan, it's a similar curve to that. It just is a little bit longer in the back and just has a slight curve, because I just think that lays really nicely in the back, personally. The best thing about this sweater is that it's top down. And so you can make these decisions as you go, like, well, do I want to add the pocket? Like you can put it on and go, do I want to put the pockets in? What kind of hem do I want? I have knit, both of mine are in size medium, which gives extra ease, about 5 inches, I want to say. I think I have about 5 inches of ease in this. And one of my testers, and I would love to put a picture in here if I can figure out how to do that, She is about the same size as me, and she knit hers in the size small, so hers just fits a little tighter. It looks amazing. I love it. She knit hers using Brooklyn tweed. I'm not exactly sure the colors, but I will find out because her version is amazing. It made me want to knit one in a smaller size using either Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is what she used, or the Barrett Wool Wisconsin woolen spun in the fingering weight. Just briefly on those two yarns, they are almost the same. One of the main differences is that Brooklyn tweed is just kind of more rugged. Like there's, your chances of finding a piece of hay in a skein of Brooklyn tweed yarn is high. Like you're likely to find one in there. And I feel like they like that. Like they kind of like that rustic feel of their yarn. Barrett wool does not have that. I don't think I've found much in there at all. I think maybe Wisconsin sheep are just a little bit neater than other sheep. I don't know. But so yeah, that's one difference. Another difference is Barrett wool costs less. You're going to get more yarn for your money from Barrett wool, but they do not have the selection of colors that Brooklyn tweed has. So, if you wanted like a basic color, like a gray, what I would do if it were me, can you tell I'm like thinking about doing this? I kind of really want to. I'd probably get my gray from Barrett wool, and if I wanted like a contrast color, the Brooklyn tweed, I've got their little shade card, and it's got all the colors on there. Love. They just have so many great colors. There's one called Postcard. I would love to have like a gray. Postcard is like and I don't even like purple, but it's like a really light heather gray purple. And I can just imagine that with gray, like in a low contrast type of thing. That would be amazing. So I think that's what I would do just to make it a little bit more cost effective. So this is the James pullover, and it will be out on October 1st. Theoretically, I'll put in some kind of transition here and edit out what I'm saying right now, but I've never edited a video in my life, so we'll see. All right. Let me talk about what is on my needles. I only have one thing on the needles right now, and I'm not including languishing whips. Not that I have very many of them. I think they're all socks. But I do have some socks that are languishing, and they will continue to languish indefinitely. So not including those, I only have one thing on my needles, and that is my Inverness pullover that I mentioned. This is independently published, and so I can show it to you. This yarn that I am using, here's a skein of it. This is from Craftsy, and it is Highland fingering weight yarn, and it's 100% wool. It is cheap. I've mentioned this before on my audio podcast. This yarn has almost 500 yards in a skein, and I think I got it on sale for $4 each, and their normal price is like $7 each. So this, I tried it because I'm like, the grocery girls said the Craftsy yarn is good, and it is very economical. So I'm like, I'm just going to try it. So I bought a sweater quantity when it went on sale. I believe this color is called Slate, and it's just beautiful. It's kind of that's really picking up really accurately. It's kind of a heathery gray. And I'm knitting this sweater, which is similar to this. It's a round yoke, top down sweater. Sorry, it's on the needles. And of course, I've got all the needles going at one time. Okay, so it goes like this. This is the front. I don't know how well this is going to pick up. I'm kind of worried about photographing this because it's such a dark color. But let me see. It has a texture pattern along the front. Can you see that a little bit? It's a little bit blown out. Let's see. Come on. All right. Well, it has a texture pattern. Let me show you this finished sleeve. I have one sleeve done. It has a texture along the yoke here, and it has texture on the sleeves, just a little bit. And this band, as you can see, because there's a little bit of cabling in the texture, it pulls in a little bit. It's a little bit tighter here. So this is above the elbow, because if it were at the elbow, it would be too tight. These sleeves are slim. They are, I think, probably negative ease at this point. I have not gotten that far in my calculations to give you the exact amount of negative ease, but these are fitted sleeves. So if you wanted to adapt this pattern to make the sleeves a little bit wider, that would be very easy. You could just add in a few more stitches when you picked up. But I personally love the look of a very wide sweater. And again, I'll try and put in a picture if that's possible. Not that I have many good pictures of this right now, but let me just show you. This is very wide and cropped. Come on. All right, there we go. It's wide and cropped, and it has a longer hem in the back than it does in the front. So this is the back, okay? And it curves, but there is not a split hem. So you don't knit just the front for a while and just the back. You continue to knit in the round, but there's a lot of short row shaping in the back, which is how the back gets longer without making the whole sweater longer, and then that gives the curve to the back hem, and then you do the ribbing, and then you bind off. Is that too much information? I don't know. Okay, so this sweater is currently, it's probably going to be at least a month out before I have the pattern ready, and then I have to have it tech edited and test knit. If you're interested in test knitting the sweater, think about it. I'll probably put a call up for testers on my Instagram. I'm Knitty McPurly on Instagram. I'll try and put that on here. It's gonna get more organized, I promise. This is the first one. I have figured out the audio thing. This is just gonna take me a little bit longer. So that's the Inverness pullover. The name was inspired by Outlander. I listened to that book, that audio book, which is like 40 hours of listening while knitting. And I was like, this is just such a Scotland color, and it's Highland wool, and it's just so sheepy. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna call this Inverness. Because if I went to Inverness, this is the sweater that I would bring. If you live in Inverness or anywhere in Scotland, I'm just super jealous of you, because that sounds amazing. I would love to go there and stay there forever. No, not forever. Just go there and visit. I have a hat pattern called Lefroig, which I named after the whiskey. And I wrote this little romantic blurb about Scottish locks. Anyway, I have a very small amount of Scottish blood. I guess I'm just super excited about. It's really just the accent. I mean, gosh, I went to the doctor's office one time, and the lady behind the front desk had this Scottish accent, and I was like, are you Scottish? It's like, what, can you just say more things? She was like, no, weirdo. No, I can't. All right, so another thing that I recently finished, okay, so that was what was on the needles. Now I'm going to talk about things that I have finished, somewhat recently and haven't maybe shown you. I don't own any sock blockers. I also don't have a mannequin, which at this moment would be kind of convenient to have. But one of these days, So these are the Galliano socks by Tracy Miller. And this is a beautiful cable pattern that goes all the way up the sock. You can see it's got, and I'm sure you're familiar with these socks. This is not your first time seeing them. But you can see there's a cable down the middle and lace surrounding it, stockinette in the back, slip stitch heel. Yes, just yes. I told Tracy, I was one of her test knitters for this pattern, and I told her that this pattern gave me my sock knitting mojo back. Like, I loved knitting them so much. And I used a Regia. Regia seems like it's what it should be, but I've heard people say Regia. I used Regia for this in the color, which I'm pretty sure is called gray or slate or something like that. I love this yarn. You can throw this in the washing machine. Not that I would, but you could. So I finished these socks up, and I've had pictures of these on Instagram with my yellow shoes, and these just look great with the yellow shoes. I just love them. Okay, another pair of socks that I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure that you have seen. Or if you follow Susan B. Anderson on Instagram or Barrett Wool, she had kits up for these Molly socks. Um, I think they're out of kits, but these socks work up with one skein of Barrett Wool home fingering weight yarn. And you can see it's just a beautiful little lace pattern with a little bit of like a single garter stitch down the side. And this is just kind of a detail shot, like little flowers or leaves or something. It's got a little bit of ribbing at the top. Because this is such a delicate pattern, I went with the Eye of Partridge heel on here. The directions are completely written out in the pattern, how to knit this. You don't have to go look anything up. As that is with all of my patterns, I hope that they're very detailed and fully understandable. But yeah, you can, if you want to go look at my Instagram, you can see these with a little bit more detail. I also have pictures of the Molly socks that my testers did. And Susan just posted one of her first finished Molly. So those are the Molly socks. And the reason I designed the Molly socks was this summer I had finished designing, oh, my hair. Oh. I had finished designing the Molly pullover in the spring. It just came out just now, but I finished designing it in the spring. And I loved the lace so much that I decided to put it in socks too. And I was just joking that the Molly pants are coming next. No, no knitted pants, no knitted lace on pants. So this is one of the Mollies, and it has lace up the front and up the back, and it's that same lace. All right, you can see it has kind of a scoop down in the front. And this seam, it's not really a seam, but it's made to look like an exposed seam, the way that you pick up the stitches there, all written out, all fully directed in the pattern. This is another pattern that has options, just like the James. This has options for either a cap sleeve, which I'll show you in a minute, or an elbow sleeve. So it comes to just, right before the elbow. I love this one by itself or layered. I have some good pictures on my Instagram of ideas for outfits that you can pair with this. And this version is cropped, and it's exactly the same length in the back as the front. So there's no fancy hemwork here. There's a little bit of increasing on the sides, which you can keep or delete depending on how much you like. It's a good bit. You can't really see that, but it's a good bit of increasing to increase the width of it. So, whatever you like there. This one I like to wear over something long, like a dress or like a tunic. I put it on with one of my schoolhouse tunics by So Liberated, which I love. I've made a bunch of those, and I really, really like the way that looks. I just love a cropped sweater. So this is the gray Molly. This is in the color March Wind, Barrett Wool, home fingering weight yarn as before. And let me show you the options on the other one. It's so nice to show stuff. Isn't it so nice to see stuff, you guys? Don't worry if you love the audio podcast. I know a lot of people like to listen to it on their way to work or when they're out walking, just put it in their ears. And I do plan on continuing that. I just would also like to have some video podcasts. We'll see. I fully expect to have 4 views on this, and it's just my mom watching it 4 times. So, Okay, so here is the other version. This one is in the color called Straw Flower, and the neck is the same. You can see this faux exposed seam in the shoulder is the same. Here, the sleeve is a cap sleeve, and I just want to take a second tell you not to fear a cap sleeve. I have passed beyond my willingness to show my arms. Not like around my house or, in the summertime, fine. But like in a photograph, no. So if you feel that way about arms, that is totally fine. You can layer this, make it a layering piece. I really feel like both of these are layering pieces. I don't know, me personally, I don't know that I would wear them by themselves, but you could if you want to. This one has a cap sleeve and it has a split hem with a much deeper and curved back around the bottom. So that is one option. Both of these have the lace down the front and the back. And it's just so pretty. Isn't it just so pretty? I love the color. It's just so pretty. So right now, this pattern is for sale. This is a Barrett Wool pattern, and you can get it on Ravelry. You can find kits for it at Barrett Wool. Gosh, what is all over everything? There's just a lot of fuzz in here. So that's that. That's the Molly pullover. Okay, I also want to tell you about my school days scarf. This came out a few weeks ago. This is the second one that I knit up. You can see here. That's kind of cool how that looks, isn't it? With that kind of short row thing there. I like that. And then this goes. It's hard for me to see what I'm showing you. This knits up so fast. This is a weekend project. This is a two-color crescent shawl, essentially, but I knit it so that my daughter would have a school scarf. And because she has a uniform this year, and so hers, which I think she has with her today, is at school. And this one I knit for the principal of the school because she absolutely adores her. So this one is going to be gifted off at Christmas time. She does not watch knitting podcasts, so I'm not worried. This is a great knit if you if you want to have a scarf that's not like, you know, a boring rectangle scarf. The idea behind this was to make kind of a cool school scarf. In fact, my husband's suggestion for a title, which was I thought pretty good, was Way Better School Scarf, because it's just a way better school scarf. But I thought it had a few too many words. And on Instagram, that was voted down in favor of school days. So the idea is that you could use your school colors or team colors or whatever and make yourself a scarf. And you can wear this in any number of ways, the way that I just did, or like this. This is like my go-to shawl way right here. And then you have kind of the hang downs. And then if you have like a coat on, you know, this is what you see. Anything else I want to say about that? If you just want to make a crescent shawl that's quick and all you really need, then yeah, it's also good for that. So that was kind of my thinking when I designed this shawl, which came out a few weeks ago in time for school to start. That is all of my whips and finished objects. So, you guys, I just had a second and I wanted to come tell you about the Knitting Fantasies segment. If you're new to the podcast, Knitting Fantasies is where I pick some patterns that I really like, but I don't have time to knit. And it's sometimes a good way for you to see patterns that you haven't seen before. And yeah, these are my picks. So today I have 4 picks for you. My first pick is Indigo Frost by Isabel Kramer. This is a poncho with a turtleneck. Normally, if you said to me a poncho with a turtleneck, I'd be like, no. But if you said to me Isabel Kramer, I'd be like, yes. So this is like the cutest poncho with a turtleneck ever. So it's gray. The one that she has knitted up is in gray, and it's got eyelets and like a band of color work around here. And I think maybe some optional pom-poms that hang down. So cute. I love it. This is knit in worsted weight yarn, and it just looks great. So that's my first pick. My second pick is a pair of socks called the Little Hocus Pocus socks. This is a free pattern, which is always nice. This pattern is by This Handmade Life, and I just think it's so cute. Like, it's kind of an orangey sock, and it's got like a blue contrasting heel. Hey, sweet pea. It has cable motifs going up the side, but it's mostly stockinette. So that's my second pick. A lot of times I'll have a theme for this segment, and this time I don't. This is just the things that I came across that I really liked. The third pick is called Fernet Branca by Thea, I'm not sure how you say it, Thea Coleman. This is a super cute, short, cabled sweater knit in Aran weight, so kind of, a heavier weight. It has cables on the sleeves and down the front and back, and also a textured panel that goes across the front and back, and it's really, really pretty. It looks interesting. I'm not sure what the construction is, but I love it. It's beautiful.
This is the song.
Hold on. The last pick is the Phaedra hat, which I know is not a new pattern, but this is beautiful. It's new to me. It's by Gudrun Johnson, and it is knit in bulky weight yarn, and it is beautiful. It has like a pattern that kind of goes like this. So it's beautiful. So those are my 4 picks for Knitting Fantasies. I want to talk to you about some things that I just got and some upcoming projects. I have some that are collaborations that I'm not really going to talk about, but I do have some that are independently published that I do want to talk about. So first, I just want to show you these. Oh. Look at these. They're like tribbles. Do you guys remember the tribbles? I know, I'm super dorky. When I was a kid, Star Trek, I watched that all the time. So I got these pom-poms. Now, these ones I was able to blow out with the blow dryer because they all came at the same time. This one came a bit later, and you can tell, even if I give it a shake, it's not as fluffy as these blow-dried ones. I got to tell you, I got these from Barrett Wool, and Susan put out a sale for them a few weeks back. And I was like, oh, those are nice. I don't know if I'll have time to knit hats. And then she put a video of her blow drying them, and it was like, click, click, buy. I don't know why I was so motivated to buy them when I saw them being blown dry. I don't know why. Maybe because I was like, oh, I've got something I can do with them right away when I get them. I'm a weirdo. All right, so you can really tell it's a big difference, blown dry or not. Even with the good shakeout, it's still not as puffy. So if you have any faux fur pom-poms, just get the hair dryer and just blow them out. That's it. It's so fun. Like I'm like crunching them down, like let's blow them dry again. The kids are like, okay, mom. This is a woman who takes pictures of socks. I mean, it's all right. You guys are gonna think that I have a Barrett Wool addiction, and I might. It's possible, but it's just so nice. It's just so round and squishy, and I just like it so much. So I got these a while back, and my this one. My project idea for these are Wisconsin Woolen Spun, worsted. This color is called Coal. It's kind of a brownish grayish. It definitely has some brown in there. I feel like it's showing up really gray, but it definitely has some brown in there in real life. And this red is called Jam. Isn't that gorgeous? So I have enough of this to make myself a sweater in my size, and I have enough of this to make my son a sweater, which I'm probably going to name after him because I name sweaters after people. I just feel like, I don't know, I love them so much, they have to be people. So my idea for this was born out of a sweater that I knit my son. I'm sorry, a sweater that my son owned. It was not a hand knit sweater. It was an Oshkosh Bagosh sweater that he had, and it wasn't even new to us. It was like handed down. And it was just kind of a cabled sweater. It had pockets, and it had a hood and a zipper. Actually, it had buttons. It had buttons, but I would like to have options in this pattern for either buttons or a zipper. So if you're a person who feels comfortable doing buttons, you could do that. But if you wanted to branch out and do a zipper, I would like to have full directions on how to do that too. My original timeline was to have this out around Christmas, but new projects have dropped into my lap and everything has been pushed out a bit. I'm not exactly sure how long. So we'll see, but it is coming. I have the yarn, I have the design, I just have to, it just has to be next in my queue. So, so pretty, right? Can't wait. Can't wait. I hope it's still cold by the time I finish this so that I can wear it. Okay. I hope to have some knitting fantasies, which I do not yet. And then I'll stick them in here with the music and all that stuff. That will be awesome. But for now, I want to talk about sewing a little bit. In my podcast, I usually have a section on sewing. And that's because I love the idea of a handmade wardrobe. Love it so much. And I want to thank the Hey Sister podcast girls because they're the ones who inspired me to do it. These two ladies are just lovely and they are younger than me. And I was watching them and they were so like, I don't know, I just tried it. And I was like, that's how I am. I'm like that. I don't think I've got like any kind of amazing sewing ability. Let me just jump out there and try it. So the first thing I sewed was a Blackwood cardigan. And it was great. Like it was so empowering to be able, I'm sorry, that's a pattern by Helen's Closet. I'll put a picture in here if that's something I can do. It was so empowering to be able to make something that I loved that didn't cost me all that much, that was so fun to make, and that was fitted exactly the way that I wanted it to fit. And so that really started me off on just making tons of my own clothes. And I was trying to decide what to show you on the first episode of my podcast, my video podcast. I've shown you on Instagram a lot of the stuff, and you can go look there if you want to. But I thought I would just show you two things that I have made recently, both of which I absolutely love. So the first thing is a pair of, this is really kind of a wearable muslin. This is a pair of trousers or pants by Sew Over It, S-E-W, Over It. There are really no end to the number of puns that go with the word sew. You really could just go on and on. This is an amazing pattern. It's called the Ultimate Trousers. And this pattern is sold by itself. I also have her ebook called My Capsule Wardrobe City Break. I hate on podcasts where they don't show you enough. So if I overshow, it's because I never like to not see. You can see here, it's not great. I mean, I didn't do a very good job on this zipper. I think I just need to tack it down in there. Also, when I made these wearable muslin pants, the only zipper that I had on hand was this white one, and it totally shows. And I kind of don't care. You know, this is not a pair of, I don't know, it's just fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I do have plans on making more of these. Yeah, but I do love this pattern. I'm tall, I'm 5'8", and these end up being very cropped on me when made directly from the pattern. So I think in my future pairs, I will, something I just learned, it's called slash and spread, where you cut the pattern, not just adding onto the bottom of the pattern, which is kind of what I thought you were supposed to do, but you would, you know, like, let's say you want to add length, you could cut the pattern here, depending, and then add space in there. Or if there's not enough room in the back, you could cut it here and add space there. Or if you want it higher waisted, cut it there and add space there. These are very high waisted already though, which I appreciate. So I love this pattern. I would like to have 10 pairs of these pants because I got to a point where I just didn't own any dress pants that I liked. They were all very 15 years ago. And I just really wanted some new pants. I made the Aeronite pants by So Liberated, and I struggled a lot with that pattern. I'm not sure why. A lot of people didn't, so I'm sure it's not the pattern. I always default to thinking that it's me, no matter what goes wrong in sewing, whether the sewing machine isn't working right or pattern isn't coming out, it's me. I'm the problem. And usually I am the problem. So the second thing that I want to show you is the most complicated thing I have ever sewed. And I haven't talked about this anywhere, so I'm super excited to tell you. I have told people that I made this, and they're like, no, you didn't. Stop it. You didn't make that. I totally made it. Let me show it to you. This is, oh, a coat. Look at that. It's got a grommet. I put a grommet in it. Theoretically, there's supposed to be a drawstring coming through this grommet, but let me show you. This is hilarious. This is where I ran out of the contrasting thread. See, right there. So I couldn't sew that all the way up, and I also couldn't sew in the channel here, the channel where the drawstring needs to go through. So there needs to be a line of stitches here so that the drawstring can go through the hood. This is the Joy Jacket by Chalk and Notch, and I used this beautiful cotton and steel print for the lining. And this tag came with the kit. I bought the kit when this pattern came out that had the zipper and the grommets, and it had a ton of stuff in it. It was a really, really great kit. It had Swedish tracing paper, which I don't use very much, but it was nice to have that. It had the interfacing. I don't know if she still has the kits over at Chalk and Notch, but it was a really great kit. So because this is a rayon, and this is, I was afraid of running out of this, I used a different fabric for the sleeves. This is just a really sleevey, slippery viscose of some sort. I don't know. I got this at Joann Fabrics. I just bought like a yard or so of it. This beautiful cotton and steel I got from fabric.com. See, there you can see that. And this gray, let me show you the pockets. I love the pockets. This gray fabric is a twill. I would love to like write on the screen what it actually is so I could look it up later and see that. Because it's some kind of twill, but it is not waterproof. Let me show you the hood. See? I did the double stitching wherever it was an option to do that because I just like the way that that looks. This is not waterproof, but I have worn it in the rain a couple times and not gotten wet. I think it's just that many layers between me and the rain. It wasn't like driving rain. It was like, you know, medium rain or a light rain. But I am so proud of this and so happy with it. I don't even have any pictures of it yet. So if you follow me on Instagram, watch there. My husband is going to take some pictures of me in the coat because I want to show you how it fits. It fits amazing. I made the size 6 and I lengthened. I did not lengthen the sleeves. I didn't cut the sleeves any longer, but you were supposed, because my arms are, I have really long arms. So you were supposed to fold the sleeve down 2 inches. I folded it down less than ½ an inch and then sewed it up because I just needed that little bit of extra. And even still, like it's still probably here on me. If I'm standing like straight up and down, it'll go all the way to this bone right here. But if I do any kind of movement, then it's right about here. So if you have long arms, and if I make this again, which I would love to make one in black, maybe that is waterproof. Wow, that would be amazing. This jacket took me about 2 weeks. Most sewing projects I will wrap up in a day because it takes maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And my little office here is right in the playroom. Like it's so funny to me that what you see is this cleanliness, but around me is the playroom. So yeah, so the kids will play and, you know, I'll be over here sewing, and that tends to work out pretty well. Okay, there's one other thing that I want to talk about, and I would like to do a separate video on this too, so if anyone wants to know about it and they don't want to, you know, watch this whole podcast to get to it, then they could. First of all, I made this bag this summer just because I really like this idea of this kind of carryable bag where you can, you know, kind of be working on your knitting. And I didn't own one of this shape. And I actually had an idea of starting an Etsy shop and putting some of these in there. And I have them started. They're like cut out and interfaced and all that. And I just haven't quite gotten to it yet. But anyway, in here, I have just a random sock. This is Arnie and Carlos Regia Perfect, where you just start knitting with a ball of yarn and you'll end up with 2 identical socks. And this was actually a source of drama a few months ago when I bought the yarn. Actually, I bought this yarn from River City Yarns in Edmonton when I was there last year. And that's the side with the jog in it. Let me show you this side. And I started knitting with it maybe on the plane, and I was like, this yarn is all wrong. What's going on? Like, it's supposed to look like the picture, and it's all wrong. And basically, someone very kindly said to me, you started the wrong way, you idiot. No. She said, you have to pull from the middle. And I guess I started from the outside. And I have used this yarn before, and I thought I started from the outside, but alas, you don't. You start from the middle. So anyway, that's a brief aside. I just wanted to show you about knitting with 3 16-inch circulars. So in the Molly sock pattern and in a few other sock patterns that I have coming down the pike, I talk about knitting with 3 16-inch circulars, and I get a lot of questions like, how are you doing that? When I bought the needles at the yarn store, the lady was like, why are you buying these? Like, what are you going to do with them? And what you do is you take one of them and you put the front stitches or half the stitches on that and the other half on the back. And then you just use, it's very simple, really. You might think I'm stupid for giving a tutorial, but really people have asked and I just wanted to show. So then you just start knitting with that 3rd needle. Now, another thing that people have said to me is, Devin, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't need 3 needles. You can just use 2 longer needles and use the end. Well, you can do that totally. But I have had this experience where that longer needle, one end will be draping and it will catch on things and whoop, it'll pull the needle right out of my stitches. And I've had that happen so many times recently that I'm like, never again. All 16-inch circulars. And you can see behind me, I have a lot of DPNs because that was my go-to thing for a long time. But I'm over it. I don't ever want to knit socks or sleeves with a DPN because, and now I've got a few stitches going, but look how easy it is to try these on. Okay, look at that. I can try this on super easily because it stretches over the cord. Some people like the Addi Flexi Flips, and I haven't tried those, so I can't speak to that. But they don't have a cord that's as long as this. So stretching it out, like I could try these on with no danger of losing any stitches. I'm gonna just pull those stitches through. Yeah, so we're all entirely on the cord. See? See the benefit of that? Like, that's awesome. I can put this on my foot and I'm not gonna worry about losing stitches because I don't know about you, but if I'm working on a sleeve and I go to try that sweater on and there's DPNs, I lose stitches every time. I think I'm using maybe 6-inch DPNs, which is pretty standard. Maybe with longer ones you wouldn't have that problem, but anyway, I just wanted to tell you that I mentioned this in a few of my patterns. Like, if you want to try this technique, I highly recommend it. These are Chow Gu size 1, which is 2.25, I believe. 16-inch needles, and I pay $9 for these. So for 3 of them, it's $27, which is less than a set of the Addi Flexi Flips. So I think that's fairly economical. Anyway, all right. I'm kind of reluctant to say goodbye because this has been so much fun. But I will edit this up and record some knitting fantasies, which hopefully I did and stuck those in there. And